Welcome to this Learn to Understand Massive series. This is part 1 and I'm going to help you understand the basics of massive, and then we're going to progress on to how to create all the sounds that are out there. It's possible to create any sound, including from helicopters to voices. It's all possible because it's all based around the same principle. So if we go right back to basics, go to File, New Sound, you'll be presented with this screen. If you now go and turn everything off but leave Oscillator 1, Filter 1, Amp and Bypass on, everything else off. So I'll do the same. So we're not being affected by anything else in Massive, just the first filter, basically the top line. So that's the signal path. It goes straight through. So it goes from the oscillator to the filter to the amp, through the bypass, into the master, out to our ears. And then it's just as simple as if we wanted to add in noise, noise would then be added after the oscillator. So it goes from the oscillator to the noise, up to the filter, and back out. That is essentially how it works. So if we look at Oscillator 1, we've got the first part of it, which is the wavetables that we can select. So we've got anything from VA basic, analog electric, digital hybrid, and effects and chords. So if we stick with the basic wavetables, we're going to pick sine square. So we have sine square selected. Now this links directly to the wavetable position below. So if we hard pan it hard left or hard right, we're going to get square or sine. So obviously we're going to get square from this one, or we're going to get sine from hard left. So you can have a blend of both. Or you can just have it dead in the centre and have an equal blend, hard left, hard right. So there is the first stage of creativity. Now, the intensity, to understand what this is doing, we have to understand what's above it. The spectrum, the bend plus, plus minus, minus, and the formant. So spectrum and formant are filters. So if we look at spectrum, it filters it out, but it filters it to a point where you can't hear the square wave, and it just brings back the sine wave, just like it's panned hard left. So if we increase that again. Now formant is just a formant filter. So you get some crazy ideas going on there, and that just controls the position of where the filter is. Now the haziness is around the bend and plus and minus. So if we select both, center it, that is a command and double click, or control and double click if you're on Windows, we have nothing happening. As soon as we turn it to the right or the left, we get something happening. Now, many people don't understand what's happening. I was one of them. And what this does is the bend minus takes the waveform as a whole and stretches the midsection of it and squashes the end and start. And obviously the opposite way around, the bend plus squashes the mid and expands the end and start. So it gives you more control over the waveform to position it better. So you can hear that happening when this does. All you have to do is visually see that the waveform, if it's a sine wave, is being stretched in the middle and squashed at the ends, or the opposite way around, depending on which bend you use. So it does give you a bit of control over your sound, especially if you want to modulate this with LFOs, which I will explain in a later video. So from there, what we have left, if we just select spectrum again and we're just going to use sine wave, we have amp, which is the volume of the oscillator. Usually on the main preset this is just up at full volume. We're just going to leave it full volume, and that is it for now. The slider F1 and F2 is simply you routing it to filter 1 or filter 2, or both. And there's lots of different filter presets there, but I'll explain that in a later date. So going back the beginning of the oscillator, we have the pitch here. So this pitches it by whole semitones. No, whole tones. So that's just me being stupid. So that's whole tones all the way up till it's hit 1 octave below. There's first octave that we started with, and we can obviously pitch it up another octave. And then we also have the option to fine tune here, so we can detune the sound. So if we was to add in oscillator 2, and we'll just leave it at that, and we'll just turn it to saw, we can then detune this. Which is used in a lot of synthesis. It's a good way to blend and add extra harmonies into a sound that you are creating. So that's just the basics there. We do have these routing panels here, which I will explain at another date, but it helps you link these here. Each one that has this little crosshair, whatever you want to call it, can be linked to one of these routing options, but I'll explain that at a later date, and that does give you some control of moving this back and forth without having to automate it. So there's a lot to explain, but that is the very basics of the first oscillator. I will go into depth next time in moving into the filter, which isn't too hard, and then you've got the basics of how to make the first sound. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.